Hi there, this is Marty from owingsart.com, and thanks for coming along today as today's art adventure takes us to the Como Park Conservatory, as it was originally known, and more recently it's been renamed the Marjorie McNeely Conservatory. But the conservatory itself in St. Paul, Minnesota was built in 1915, so it's celebrating its 100th anniversary, and it's got pretty spectacular architecture among other things. But the conservatory is known for housing some of the greatest varieties of botanical plants and flora and fauna that can be found in the state of Minnesota, which in the wintertime, you don't get a lot of green here in Minnesota, so the conservatory is always a great place to come. You can see here the camera's starting to fog up because it's pretty humid inside the conservatory. In a second here, I'll wipe the camera off and right here, and it'll clear up. But as you get into the conservatory, you just find you pass through sort of this is new architecture, and then you're going to go into the old building as we pass through this door here. And there's just some great a variety of plants, as I mentioned, but all kinds of like statuary and little benches to sit down in with very nice lamps, as you can see there on the right. And as we pass through these doors here, this is going to take us into a wing of the conservatory called the Sunken Garden. And just so happens that today in the Sunken Gardens, and I got up early to get here, so I'm the first one in the door besides the workers here. It's the first opening weekend for the flower show. So they've got all different kind of variety of flowers in here, and just a wonderful place to go any time of the year, but especially in late autumn or winter. And as you can see, this architecture in this building just screams sort of Victorian era, early 20th century, and it's just beautiful. So spend a couple of minutes talking to one of the guys that helps organize this, and then I'll start to sketch. Looks great. Yeah, did you help with all this?
Not me. The gardeners work on it. That's their full-time job.
Yeah.
So they don't get to be out here during the day very much.
Oh, sure. Looks great, though.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Everything finally started to bloom.
Yeah, it took a while. Yeah, well, that'll catch up.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, how long will this stay?
This one stays until December. We're going to have a week off somewhere in the middle for us to do a show refresher.
Okay.
So these won't last the full, these particular plants won't last the full run.
Okay.
And then in December we'll switch over to our winter show or to our holiday show with the poinsettia.
Oh, sure.
And winter show starts after.
Makes sense. Oh, this is great. All right. Well, I think I'll do some sketching. Thank you. This particular statue, among others here in the conservatory, were commissioned through the city, and an artist named Harriet Frischmuth did these bronze fountain statues, which are just brilliant. If you ever get a chance to look her up, Harriet Frischmuth is her name, and I think she created these statues for the fountains in the 1920s. But here you can see there's some green and red peppers, or chili peppers, and bright yellow flowers, and different varieties of flowers, which I'm not a flower person, so I'm not really familiar with the varieties per se, but they sure are beautiful. And so what I decided to do, starting off in the Sunken Gardens, was to sketch some of the flowers. But first I took a walk around the rest of the conservatory. You know, they have a koi pond, where they have these koi that come up to you because I think they think they're going to be fed here. But this is sort of the other wing, and there's a nice, very nice fountain back there, and you can hear the water yourself. But it's just a beautiful place to come and just be at peace, or sketch, or write, or draw, or just even people watch. Lots of people from all over the world come through the conservatory. Well, here's the flowers I thought I'd start off with for today's sketch, and just give them a try. So I'll start off with a TK 9400 Faber-Castell lead holder with a 2mm HB lead in it. So that's a hard, medium hard lead. So my outline won't be too rough, too dark, so that I can't go back and work on it with other colored pencils. Then I'll use some colored pencils I recently picked up and see what I can do about coloring in the major colors in the flowers. So here you can see what I'm doing here. And I've also got a marker or two out here because that's an alcohol blender, and later on I'm going to go and try to blend these pencils. And I'm using Spectrum Noir pencils, which I reviewed in the past, and I'll throw a link up to that as well, or a link so you can click and watch that video if you want. But the Spectrum Noir pencils, I wanted to try them out primarily because they seem to really do a good job for crafters and things like that, and I thought, well, I'll try the vibrancy on this and the flowers. And I'm using a Prismacolor blender here to go in and blend in some of the layers that I've already laid down, and just kind of pull color out and sort of deepen it. And you can see here it's working pretty well. As I zoom in here in a second or two, you'll see it's pretty pronounced. It makes a pretty pronounced difference in being able to move around the colors and shape colors right on the page itself. So I'm going to work in a little bit of yellow and a little bit of green here for the center of the flower, which is, I do a little different treatment to the center of the flower than I do with the petals, but it's just coloring it in, and until you get the exact right color that you want there. So now it's just a matter of adding in additional flowers and just kind of trying to blend some things in. Well, you get the idea. So here I'm just using the fine-tipped end of the alcohol blender to go in and blend these pencils and get in some of the finer line work and just make sure that the petals look right. And there's some colors in here that you probably might not think would be on the petal of a flower, like some purple and blues. But that's what it looked like to me when I was looking at these flowers. So I decided to add those colors in, and the blender really helped make that operation look pretty seamless. So as we get a little closer to this picture, you'll see exactly what I mean. Now it's time to add a little bit of ink. So an ink outline and some darkening around the edges that really can help these flowers pop. Especially around, these flowers are really interesting. They have sort of a white edge around the petals, and I just wanted that white edge to pop, and so you could really see sort of the way these flowers look in the real world, and how they're just really nice little flowers, and having that dark border around it helps the petals stand out a little bit more. So that's just what I did. And here I got to think about adding a little bit more detail in and sort of blending in any places I've missed. So I'm just going back in and adding some of those details in, like maybe it's a line here or there, or sort of blending colors I might have missed in my first pass, and just making sure it looks a little bit better. Now I'm just kind of drawing a little outline to give it a little background color, and hoping that that'll help make the whole thing pop a little bit better. Here I'm adding some white to the edge of the flowers to strengthen that contrast between the background, and here's basically, this is my finished product. Now I did have a chance to to draw these chilies as well, and I did a couple of pictures, one on regular paper and one on toned paper, but I was pretty pleased with the way things came out, and just a lot of fun being in the conservatory. Lots of kids pass through and ask you questions, and it's nice to sit and talk to them about art and encourage them as well. And just people from 2 to 92 have an interest in art, and the conservatory is just like a wonderful place in the middle of a pretty urban city, and it's just like an oasis, a place you can go to and just find peace. And the other thing I was going to mention about the conservatory is it's absolutely free. So there's never a charge to get in. They do accept donations, which is nice and helps cover the cost, but just one of the gems, one of the many gems in the city of St. Paul, including the Como Zoo, which is right next door. Well, thanks for joining me on today's art adventure, and I hope you get to take an art adventure yourself sometime soon. This has been Marty for Owings Art. So long, everybody.